Hello, everybody. Chris Hamilton here with salestipaday.com. And we're just getting started. We'll be starting here in a couple of minutes in regards to doing the LinkedIn social selling success. Sorry, I'm looking off to the side here. I've got a chat window going off to the side. If you're going to ask any questions, you can use a text box or a chat box down below. Unfortunately, the license I have only allows for up to 10 users. So if we go above that, then you'll have to text me. You can text me questions if you're in North America at 403-630-1243, and I will go through that again in a couple of seconds here as well. And with that said, I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we'll get this started and going very quickly here. So hopefully you can see my screen now. It should say LinkedIn Social Selling Success. So before we get going, couple of things. So this version of this presentation will probably change next month. And the reason being is that LinkedIn has changed their user interface. So what happens is I manage a couple of people's LinkedIn accounts, and yesterday morning, I jumped on two of my clients. I actually manage 4 accounts right now, but I jumped on 2 of my clients' accounts, and like LinkedIn absolutely changed their interface on at least 2 of their accounts out of the 4 that I was looking at. My account hasn't changed yet, but long story short is their new interface is a hot mess. I think it's, for lack of a better word, a piece of shit, but it'll have to do for now. I probably can't get LinkedIn to change their views or their ways on things. So anyways, I'll have to learn how to work around it. So henceforth, next month's presentation will be more in tune with the new user interface as things go forward. So there we go. So I don't know if anyone has jumped on LinkedIn. Anyone who's watching, we got a 6 at least on the landing page, and I've probably got numerous others sitting on the LinkedIn or the YouTube live feed. So we'll you can always just let me know and see if your LinkedIn, if you go to linkedin.com, just let me know whether your interface has changed or not. So anyways, with that said, it's now just after 9 o'clock my time. It's 1 minute after. So we're going to get started on this. So it's LinkedIn Social Selling Success. So literally what I'm going to show is numerous things on how to use LinkedIn to help sell. So once again, some of the stuff you're going to learn today, if your account's changed, it still will be applicable, but it will probably, there's other things that I'll have to figure out and kind of mess around and figure out how to get done. But literally there's like 10 tactics, over 90 slides. You're going to walk away with a lot of info. And then at the very end, there is a super special offer for you as well. As I said, if you want to reach me, you can text questions to 403-630-1243, or you can use the chat box. I'm monitoring that. I do have to let people know somehow or other my internet is sketchy in my house. I pay for great internet with a company called Shaw, but somehow or other there's something wrong with my internet. So if the feed goes a little fuzzy, just refresh your page, go up to the URL where this is, and put your cursor on there and just click enter. It'll refresh the page, and it should make it look a lot better. And there you go. So first thing I always say when I go into doing a presentation on LinkedIn social selling is kind of what proof do I have? So I want to let people understand kind of what it is. So I have a sales and marketing consultancy firm, but I'm also like 90% of my time right now is wrapped around an accounts payable software company where I'm a part owner in. And I have leveraged LinkedIn almost exclusively to grow the pipeline in that company to 8 figures in about 9 months of actively doing it. In fact, actually, it's only been about 4 months of really actively pursuing this that I have been able to grow it. And the tactics and tricks and tips that you're going to learn today, these are things that I've learned over almost a decade and incorporated into my selling. So where I'm trying to go with this is I was doing social selling before social selling was even a buzzword and I didn't even realize it. So, and part of the proof that I also have against this is if you go to, LinkedIn has a social selling dashboard where you get to see your social selling index. And I'll get to that URL in a sec so you can see what that is. But what they do is if you take a look down here, you get a ranking out of 100. It's based on what they call the 4 pillars of social selling. So it's establishing your professional brand, finding the right people, engaging with insight, and building relationships. Now, if you want to learn more about each of these, if you go to this page, and you'll get the URL in a couple of seconds, you can just click on any of these blue words here, and it will bring up a slide from SlideShare, and it'll walk you through and tell you kind of what it is and everything like that. The thing I want you to gravitate towards is I get 91 out of 100. So I'm basically at the 91 percentile on LinkedIn. I'm in the top 1% of my industry and the top 1% of my entire network as it relates to social selling and engaging with people. The other thing too is on this page, if you scroll down a little bit, what you're going to see is you're going to see your relationship to not only your network, but people in your industry. So I am in the marketing and advertising industry, and the average in my industry, and this is horrific, 22 out of 100. So my social selling skill set is significantly higher. In fact, my social selling index ranking is 4 times higher. So I'm leveraging LinkedIn, and I'm getting way more opportunities coming in the door. So this is, validation for me. And once again, I'm beating my competition. I can just tell just by looking at this sort of stuff. My profile, once again, in the top 1% of all profile views among professionals like me. It's in the top 3% of all profile views against all my connections. And I'm connected to a lot of LinkedIn influencers, #1 authors, stuff like that, their profiles get seen quite a bit. So I'll take the top 3%. I'm totally cool with that as well. So part of this and part of the whole idea behind social selling, there's 2 sides. There's kind of buyers, there's sellers. Now you're going to be on the seller side, but I'm going to talk to you specifically about the buyer side to start with, and then I'll get into the seller side. Here is some information that comes directly from LinkedIn, and it's specific to buyers. So 49% of buyers research vendors through their LinkedIn profile. So think about this as 45% of all buyers in the world are going on LinkedIn and searching for vendors or people that provide solutions. 50% of those people will avoid sales professionals with an incomplete profile. The incomplete profile being no picture, there's no lack of filling out information on your profile. And, I'm sure you've come across profiles on LinkedIn that are just kind of absence of information. You're kind of just trying to figure out who and what this person is. So I'll tell you what, if you're in a client-facing role, best thing you could do is update your profile and make it work. 44% of social buyers use shared connections to find potential vendors. So what this means is people that you're connected to, if they don't know who and what you do, then you're missing out on another opportunity to be recommended or referred into people who are looking for certain things. I'm going to skip a lot of these, but I'm going to go through a couple here. I'm going to go specifically to this cold call appointment setting rate. So I know a lot of people still use cold calling, picking up the phone and smiling and dialing and thinking that it works. And quite honestly, it does not work. There is a report by IBM that says the average cold call appointment rate is about 2.5%. Another one is Baylor University, where they have, it's 0.3% success rate on booking meetings through cold calling. So just flip this around, is literally upwards of 99.7% of the time, cold calling doesn't work. So why would you do something over and over and over again that doesn't work? It's aggravating, it's stressful, totally sucks. I'm going to teach you a better way to do this sort of stuff today. The other thing I look at is warm referrals increase the odds of sales success by 2 to 4-fold. So I'm going to show you a couple things that you can leverage for getting way more meetings coming in the door. And then last but not least here is 84% of B2B decision makers begin their buying process with a referral. So let's couple this with that thing above here is 84% of the people that are making B2B decisions and purchasing start it with a referral, and then on top of it, these referrals are 2 to 4 times better at increasing your success rates. So think of this right now. If you focus on getting referrals from people, then have about a 400% more success. So if you're selling 100 items of your product today, next year, if you just start implementing a referral process, and I'll show you how to do this through LinkedIn, you could be selling 400 units. And that just grows exponentially. It's crazy. So long story short, more buyers are using LinkedIn and the internet specifically to find those solutions. If you don't have a complete profile, you're not actively engaging, you're not telling people what you do, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about the people that you compete against, or even people within your own organization, and some of the social selling statistics as it relates to them. So once again, all this information comes directly from LinkedIn. So social selling is when salespeople use social media to interact directly with their prospects. And some of these stats, these are killer statistics, and I know they're totally true. They come from LinkedIn. They've got a lot of this stuff. It's already put in there. Top social sellers have 45% more opportunities per quarter and are 51% more likely to make quota. So the correlation is there because of the fact that you're leveraging referrals, you're getting more opportunities, they close at higher rates, they close faster. If you got 45% more opportunities and they're coming from referrals, chances are they're going to close at a higher rate. So, basically 51% of people are making quota by doing this, more likely to make quota. The couple other ones here that we want to take a look at are, sellers that reach out to prospects with relevant insight about their industry are nearly 5 times more likely to get a response than sellers that reach out cold. So one of the things that I always tell people to look at is you look at your current base of connections on LinkedIn, and you can bucket these people, they're prospects, clients, friends, family, whatever it is. Focus in on prospects, focus in on clients, right? Get information that's relevant to them and send it to them on a consistent basis. Sending meaning basically monthly if you can, and pull some information together. And, especially with a prospect, if you're starting to send stuff that helps them with their role, if you actually reach out to them and ask for an appointment, you're 5 times more likely than if someone just reaches out cold. So huge opportunity for you right there as well. Let's see here. The last one is almost 73% of salespeople using social selling as part of their sales process outperform their peers and exceed quota 23% more often. So long story short, look, social selling is something that allows you to exceed your quota and make more money. And these are people that you're competing against. And, I jumped on LinkedIn March of 2006. So we're talking over 11 years ago. So I joined when there was just about 4 million people, 4.2 million people. There's almost 500 million now. I'm in the first 1% of people that have leveraged LinkedIn or joined LinkedIn. I have leveraged it almost since day one to create opportunities for myself. And as I say, my current software company, my accounts payable software company, we have an 8-figure robust pipeline with very good qualified leads sitting in it just from using LinkedIn. And I did this literally part-time to start with, more full-time now, and engaging through LinkedIn. I also grew another software company that I owned from about $250,000 a year in revenue to almost $7 million a year in recurring revenue in about a 2-year period, back when very few people were on LinkedIn. But I figured out a way to use LinkedIn to actually do this stuff. So it's huge opportunity for you as well. So now we get back to the social selling index. So if you want to see it, I would highly recommend just go to www.linkedin.com/sales/SSI. What this will do, it'll tell you your social selling index. If anyone's so brave, in the chat box down below, put your score in if you feel like it. Mine today, I checked it, it's actually 86. I haven't, where I'm weak is engaging with insights. So that's putting relevant information in front of people. But that's kind of where I've fallen off, and I need to start building that up again as well. And as I say, if you're in here, this little section here, if you want to find out more about how to establish your professional brand, find the right people, engage with insights, build relationships, just click on these. And then what happens is a little embedded slideshow shows up with 7 slides in it. There's about 3 or 4 slides in here that give you tips and tricks on how to build out your profile and how to make things work for you as well. So it's highly recommend that you do that. So my point that I want to make is social selling isn't something to do in the future or maybe think about doing. It's something that you need to start incorporating, putting processes in place and doing it on a daily basis. And just to kind of let you know how I do things, I literally spend 20 minutes a day leveraging LinkedIn and prospecting, and that's it. Sometimes it's a little higher, sometimes a little lower, but usually on average it's about 20 minutes a day to build out a robust pipeline on how to and bringing people in the door. So it's a huge opportunity. So here's a couple things. I'm going to talk a few things. I'm going to talk about a premium account and why you want a premium account. I'm not going to go into great detail here, but just to give you an understanding, only 18% of users on LinkedIn have a premium account. It means 82% don't. So why is it useful to have a premium account, and where can you upgrade? So if you upgrade, if you go into your profile picture and hit upgrade, and this is the old way that LinkedIn looks, you might have a different version now. It's still just click on your profile and then you go down below and it shows you how to manage your account. Most people have a free account. I have a Business Plus account. And I'm trying to figure out if they still offer the Business Plus account or if they're forcing people to go to Sales Navigator, but 6 of one, half dozen the other. There's just a premium account will do so much more for you. And I'll explain to you how and why. Understanding who's viewed your profile. So I have grown my LinkedIn profile or my LinkedIn connections significantly with people within my targeted demographic because of the fact that people are hitting my profile. When people hit my profile, they're finding me for a reason. They're searching on something. So with a free account, you literally only get to see the last 4 people that looked at your profile. With a premium account, I get to look back 90 days and see who's looked at my profile. Now, not only that, there's a whole bunch of information that's available in there that allows me to slice and dice. So I can go by geography, I can go by industry, I can go by title, a whole bunch of different things. And I could just see, I could start honing in on people that are in my target demographic, and then I can reach out to them and try to connect with them on LinkedIn. Once I get them on LinkedIn, then I start engaging with them. And then what happens is they fall into, or they start going into this whole sales process. The in-mail messages, I get 15 per month. You get 0 if you have a free account. What this does is it allows me to reach out to people that I'm not connected to on LinkedIn and send them a message. And each one of these costs $11. And my account right now at, it's like billed at 49. I think it's like $60 if I pay month to month. But literally the ROI on that right off the bat is almost 300% or a little higher than 300%. Just by doing this. Now, I'm going to give you guys a tip on using in-mail messages if you have it. If you're sending messages out to people through LinkedIn using in-mail, the best thing you can do is follow up with a phone call after the fact. And when I say after the fact, I don't mean like send the message and call them like 2 minutes later. What I mean is send the message, wait a couple of days, phone up, tell them, hey, I sent you a message through LinkedIn. Don't know if you saw it or not. Here's what it's about. Typically I work with people that are in your target, that are in your world, what you do. Here's the benefits I provide. I'm hoping I could set a meeting up. Well, don't say I'm hoping, just say I'd like to set a meeting up with you and explain and understand if what I have will help you save money, increase revenues, do whatever it is, reduce your time. The premium search is going away, so I'm not going to talk about that. The profiles per search, you get to see 100. I actually get to see 1,000. It's not 500 anymore. It's 1,000. And sometimes it's even higher than that. Why this is important is 82% of people are on LinkedIn. They have a free account. What they're doing is if they search CFO Calgary, so for example, where I live in Calgary, literally the first 100 people are going to show up in all, like 82% of the people that are looking for a CFO are going to see the exact same results, right? If you have a premium account, you're going to get to see an additional 900 that probably don't show up in the results, which don't get hit all the time. And you're going to be able to access more qualified prospects as well. The other one too is these saved searches. You get 3 that you can set up on a weekly basis, and I get 7. This might be going away too with this new version. I hope it doesn't, because it's a great way for LinkedIn to send you sales leads on a regular basis. What I do is when you go into Save Search, you go into this advanced search up here, you click on Saved or you set up the parameters of what you want for a search, and you can save it. And if you set it up to be weekly, then what happens is LinkedIn will send you a weekly notice on all the people that have changed something in their profile or started a new job. Why is that important? So people that are in a new job are 10 times more likely to make a product change or service change within the first 3 months in that position than any other time when they're working. Now, I have to give credit to Craig Elias, who wrote Shift Selling, who brought that to my attention. So I give credit to where credit's due. Great opportunity to get sales leads walking in the door for you. How do you get a free account? Or a premium account or upgrade? You can get 30 days for free. So if you just go to linkedin.com, if you're signed out of your LinkedIn account, it'll offer you 30 days for free. If not, right now, the way it looks, at least on my account, could change though, is you click your picture, it says manage your account, you click on it, and if you're on a free account, it'll give you 30 days for free if you haven't had a premium account for the last 13 months, I believe is what it is. I highly recommend just give it a shot for 30 days. It's great. So there, I talked about kind of why you want a premium account. Now we're going to talk about building out your profile. Why this is important is because having a proper profile. So once again, I'm going to default back to 49% of B2B buyers go through LinkedIn to try to find people for products and services. 50% of them will absolutely avoid you like the plague if you don't have a proper profile. So we're going to talk about building out your profile, which is kind of it's your billboard when people come to find you on LinkedIn. So one thing that I talk about is LinkedIn is all about selling yourself and what you offer. And how you set yourself apart. It's not about a job. Unless you're looking for a job, write your profile like a job, like a resume. But otherwise, you need to talk about what you can do for people, how you can help them, all that kind of stuff. It's number one thing, change your profile and make it all about how you help people, and you'll see more people will reach out to you. Quick thing, I'm not going to read all these, just to give you an idea though. Putting a picture, so I've seen a lot of people, they don't put a picture on their profile. Just having a picture alone increases your views by 11-fold. Where else do we got here? Add an industry, put the proper industry in, it increases your views by 15-fold as well. Having your education in there increases it by 10-fold. And putting skills in will get you found 13 times more often. I'll give you a quick tip on that, or how I've used that is with my accounts payable software company, I go look for people that have QuickBooks and QuickBooks experience. When I go search in certain areas on QuickBooks, I'll start going through someone's profile and I'm like, I do not see anywhere where they have QuickBooks listed in their profile. So I'm on a Mac, so I go Command F for find. You do Control F on a PC, and then I type in QuickBooks. And a lot of the times, if they don't have it in their profile, it shows up in the skills section. So what this tells me is LinkedIn is looking at the skills that you have listed, and they're using those as a source of information for searches as well. So it's a huge opportunity for you to get found on specific skills. And you could add up to 50 skills in your profile. And here's a clue. I may go into this. I can't remember whether I go into this or not. If you can't figure out 50, go look at people you compete and see what skills they have listed and just steal it from them and put it in your profile as well. So here's a few things, just as you look at your profile. First thing I do, and once again, this is going to change because this is not the way it looks for a lot of accounts right now, but the bare bones minimum, put that picture in, right? Your headline down here, change it. Usually what it does is LinkedIn pulls in your most recent job and puts it up here as your headline. You have the ability to change it. So what I do is typically with a headline is I'm like your SMB marketing resource to help you generate up to 10 times more sales leads. Ask me how. So here's the market I serve, what I do, and there's my call to action. Ask me how. Here's where you put your industry in. What I talk about with industry. So for example, if you sell construction software, don't put yourself in the software industry, put yourself in the construction industry, because that's how people are going to find you based on construction and software. If they're looking, that's how they'll find you. If you just put software, it's going to miss that construction piece. And, anyways, long story short, that's how you get found. Get your email in there. And my suggestion is put more than one email in, because I've seen a lot of people who put their current company's work email in. Then they move their job and they cannot remember their password for the life of them. And so basically there's no way to connect or contact LinkedIn to get your account recovered. So you got to start from ground zero again. Put a personal email in there as well, just in case you have to recover your password. Highly recommend that. Put your phone number in. If you got your address, you can put it in too. Put in some of your websites and Twitter feeds and stuff like that. Put in your social media profiles if you can. I always tell people, take your LinkedIn will give you the ability to create a unique profile link for yourself. Usually it's an alphanumeric code. What I've done here is I'm in Canada, so it's got ca linkedin.com/in/ and someone took Chris Hamilton, so I had to put Chris Hamilton CA for Canada at the end. I would just personalize that as well. So there you go. One of the other things you can do in your profiles is in your summary and also in your work experience, you can add videos, you can add slides, you can add documents, you can add pictures, you add a whole bunch of different things. So for example, in my summary, I've got, and I don't think it looks like this now, I pulled some of this stuff out, but I have videos that are specific to kind of what I do. And same thing in my profiles, I've put videos in my jobs that I have listed as well that are relevant to stuff. And here's something that would be super cool. I've never done it, but it's something that would be super cool. For your current job, put a recommendation down here. Go to, like, if you go to client site, grab your iPhone and just, or your Samsung or whatever it is, and record something. Say, hey, do you mind giving me a recommendation? And poke it up here. Just put, like, post up on YouTube or whatever it is, put the video up and just put the title in here, client referral or client recommendation, whatever it is, down here. You put another one, put several in if you want. That's when people come, they're going to see, and they'll, in combination, if you can get recommendations and also have some recommendations down here, people will come and find you. So how do you do this? What happens is on your profile, there's a little thing, it's got a little box. You click that, it will bring up this down here. And you can add a document, photo, link, video, presentation. Once again, as you keep hearing me say, I don't know how the new version works with this. I haven't done the digging because it just changed yesterday. I'm hoping they're still going to keep this stuff in there. And that way you can still add that. So there you go. You can add that information in there. The other thing you can do, which is your photo, is really kind of how people are going to see you. There's a website called photofeeler.com. And by adding a profile picture, you'll increase your views by up to 11-fold. But not only that, if you do certain things within your photo, you can increase what LinkedIn looks at is, or what people on LinkedIn look at as competency, likability, and influentialness. And in mine, I've got competent and influential are very high, the 93 and 87. My likability factor is super low. So apparently I'm for lack of a better word, a douchebag or something like that. I think it's part of it is, I could tell right now is I'm not smiling. I've kind of got this kind of half grin on my face and I'm squinting and stuff like that. If I were to do this all over again, I'd have a much better picture and stuff like that. Anyways, Photo Feeler, you can go there, you can upload your picture. You can get it for free. It used to be that way. I don't know if it still is, but what you have to do is you have to go rate 10 other people's profiles for these three factors: competence, likability, and influential. And then after you do that, 10 people will actually rate your photo on these sort of things as well. And what you can do is, if you don't want to do that, you can just buy credits and people will just do it that way. So if you got several different photos that you want to try to determine which one you're going to put up, that's a great way to do it. And a photo, photo speaks lots on your profile. So there's a great little tip for you as well. One of the things, just as you're building out your profile, one thing that's really cool about LinkedIn is they will tell you your profile strength and how to boost it up, and they make recommendations. So they'll walk you through a lot of that process. One of the other things too is there is a little button, at least on the way things used to look on Monday and prior, notifying your network. Switch it to no, don't have it on yes. Every time you change something in your profile, it will alert your network about something. And it's like, people think you've changed a job or you got a new job or you did something or whatever it is. Turn it to no and save your friendships and quit annoying. Couple other things I'm going to go to. If you don't have time to beef up your profile and you got bullet points or something like that, you can go to upwork.com and hire a writer to do it for you. There's lots of qualified writers on on Upwork that will absolutely do this sort of stuff for you. So it's a great resource that you can leverage as well. So one last tip I'm going to go into. So these stats they're about a year and a half old. I haven't been able to find any newer ones, but this tells a story. So you start seeing this upward motion that's going here. This is the amount of people that are accessing LinkedIn on a mobile device. So unique visiting members on a mobile device over a time frame. So in this case, it's over a 2.5-year period. As I say, this is telling a story. Look at this. It's going up, 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 up. 55 million mobile visitors on 102 million visits. It accounts for 55% of all the unique visits to LinkedIn right now. It's a 31% increase from this time frame of Q3 to this time frame. I would say, and I said by Q3 2016, there'll probably be about 72 million unique visitors based on the way this is going. It'll be roughly 72% of LinkedIn's unique visitors. So long story short is LinkedIn is really becoming it's becoming more and more of a mobile platform. So couple of things with their mobile platform. They've changed it a bit, but here's something that I would highly recommend you do. So the mobile version over here, it brings data in from different things on your desktop profile. In your summary at the very top, I put in call me, there's my phone number, and then email me here. It brings this information in here because what happens is this just shows people, here's a way that you can get a hold of me. And when you're on a mobile device, a lot of the times they'll have to scroll down to try to see if you got a phone number. Sometimes your phone number won't be in there. Sometimes your email won't be in there. It's a whole bunch of crazy things. Anyways, long story short, someone finds me on LinkedIn this way. And especially if I'm a second level connection, I just show them the fastest way to get a hold of me and reach out to me. So it's a great way for people to reach you. So we've talked about the premium account. I've talked about building out your profile. I'm going to go into some advanced search tips and tricks, and then I'm going to show you how to approach people and how to put a process in place and really crank up your ability to generate qualified leads on LinkedIn. So this advanced search tips and tricks is something that very few people know about. Now, once again, this may go away. I hate having to repeat myself, but they may not even have this on the new version. If they do, it's an absolute crime if they've gotten rid of this. The advanced search up here, you click on it and it brings up this advanced search box. This gives you the ability to put keywords, names, titles, companies. You can put in locations, distances. You can look at postal codes. You can put a whole bunch of search parameters in here. From what I heard, this is if you have a premium account, these are different search functions that you can put in. From what I've heard, this is going away. So it may already be gone. But these two, if you still have access to this is a great way to find people on LinkedIn. So 5 things you're going to learn here. First things first is quotes. So when you're in this advanced search, you go in here, vice president, for example, you put quotes around vice president. The reason why you want to do this is it says it's bringing an exact phrase together. If I put in vice president, what it's going to do is it's going to go back and find vice chairman, vice counsel, presidents, co-presidents, a whole bunch of different things. So you're going to end up with a bunch of false positives, especially if you have a free account and you only have 100 people that you can view. And then, by the way, also with a free account, LinkedIn cuts you off on that search capability at some point in time in the month if you exceed a certain amount. So you may as well get the best results coming back as humanly possible. So by doing this, it really laser focus and says, I just want to see these people that have this title on LinkedIn. The next thing you want to do is the brackets around things. So this is when you start combining terms and modifiers. I'll get to modifiers in a sec, but the modifiers on LinkedIn are and, or, and not. So in this case, I'm looking for a vice president where it's and sales, vice president and marketing, because I'm going to say I want vice president sales or marketing, vice president sales, vice president marketing. So that's what I'm looking for in here. So it'll kind of expand your search results, but bring back less false positives and bring back better results for you. So now we're going to get into these 3 modifiers, and they all have to be in uppercase. So it's and, or, and not. So first one is when you're looking for 2 terms that absolutely have to be included together. So for example, vice president sales and marketing. The next one is or. It's going to broaden your search a little bit. So in this case, sometimes people don't go by vice president, they go by VP. So in this case, we're looking at vice president or VP, sales and marketing. So let me give you an example why that's important. I did a search. This is about a year ago. I did this on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's results when they come back are they often vary. Sometimes they come back and they got a low amount. Sometimes they got a high amount. In this case, I did it, and I found 35 people in Calgary that had vice president sales and marketing. When I broadened this and put it in or VP sales and marketing, it brought back almost 2,200. I would have missed out on almost 2,164 potential people to go after in a target demographic. So once again, just by expanding and putting these modifiers in place, you're going to find way better people to be going after. Last but not least of these modifiers is not. So in this case, I want to find someone who's a vice president of sales, not marketing. I do not want marketing in their title whatsoever. I just want strictly a vice president of sales. So just to quickly review these 5 search terms, you got the brackets, you've got the quotations, and you got and, or, and not. What you can do is, here's how I would use it. Hit that advanced search, go into your relationships, put in location. You can put other relevant information, and I put a group in here, and I've got president or owner in this case. So I've got that modifier of or in there. What it does is it brings back, in this case, it brought back 173 results. Now, why is this important? I'll tell you why. So first of all these are first level connections, but let's pretend Paul down here is a second level connection. I've looked it up against a specific group on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has a stat that says salespeople or business owners are 70% more likely to get an appointment from a cold connection request if they cite a common LinkedIn group. So if I were to reach out to Paul with an in-mail message, I would say to Paul, hey, Paul, you and I are both part of the Young Oil and Gas Professionals group in Calgary. I help owners of businesses like yours by doing this. Here's the benefits they see. I'd like to set up an appointment with you. I'll give you a shout in a couple of days. And I'd send that off to him. Now, here's the other thing too, is a couple of days later, I would follow up by phone and call Paul and say, Paul, I sent you a message on LinkedIn. Don't know if you saw it or not. Here's what it is in regards to. Is there any way we might be able to set up an appointment? Do you have some time in your schedule this week or next week, right? Dramatically increases your odds. What I found is literally about, if you just send an email, you don't get much success. By following up with a phone call, it dramatically increases. I'll end up on the phone with probably 6 out of the 10 people, and probably about half of them. So I got, 3 out of the 10, I'll end up into a decent conversation or a face-to-face meeting. And that's game on, they start becoming a sales prospect. So about 30%, which is a great stat to use in your favor. So just be a little bit smarter about using LinkedIn. So that's a great tip. Unfortunately, this is not up anymore. It was a sheet that shows you how to use the Boolean search terms. But I'll tell you what, if you just go to Google and type Boolean, so Boolean, LinkedIn Boolean search tips or terms or whatever it is, they have a couple of blog posts that walk through all this and show you how to do it. So there you go. That's a little cheat sheet that you could get there. So we've talked about the premium account, building out your profile, how to find the right target demographic that you're going after with these five LinkedIn search tactics. Now I'm going to go into how do you actually use LinkedIn for social selling. So I'm going to talk specifically about going after first level connections, and I'll talk about going after second level connections. Your first level connections on LinkedIn are people that I call, this is low hanging fruit for you. This is a tremendous opportunity because you're already connected to these people. So what are your first level connections? Once again, they're the people that you're connected to. So in this case, Dave Kirpin, if you look here, I got a first level connection. That denotes that I'm connected with him. The other one would be, it would say second, group, third, something like that. I only focus in most cases, I only focus on first and second level. Sometimes I focus on group members, but in most cases it's going to be first and second level. One thing that I always talk about is if there's a way to download your contacts out of LinkedIn. So what you need to do, and you can get their email addresses as well. What you need to do is you always need to be strengthening your first level connections, reaching out, sending relevant information, engaging with them, seeing how they are, telling them, hey, is there any way that I can help you? Anything that you need me to do? And the reason being is because ultimately, you may need to leverage these first level connections to get into second level connections. I'll get into that in a second here. So how do you find your first level connections? Once again, you go advanced search, click on first level connections, click the area that you're going. Put your title in that you're looking for and hit search. When I did that, I brought up 25 results of people that are vice president sales and marketing in LinkedIn. And then what I do is I send them a letter and it's like, hello, first level connection, hope all is well. Thought I'd reach out. I'm working with the company. Here's what we do. Here's our product or service. Here's the benefits. You know, if I got a document or I can poke them through the website, I'll send that off. Do you have time for a quick call or a meeting on this? Optionally, I can also say, if it doesn't fall in your world, can you point me in the right direction at your company to tell me who would look after this? Let me know. I'll be downtown next Wednesday, Thursday, or I'll be in your neck of the woods next Thursday, Wednesday, whatever day. If you're around, be nice to know what you're doing. So I also might be able to help you out. So I send this out, and literally in a situation like that with first level connections, I'm going to say about 50-60% actually respond to me, and then I can keep at them. If they don't respond back, keep at them. It's not stalking. It's just a matter of trying to keep in front of them, provide value, and then just reach out to them as well and engage with them. Huge opportunity, but let me show you the bigger opportunity. By adding second level connections, so people that you're not connected to, in this scenario, it's going to increase my search results by 78-fold. And also, if I want to increase it, I can increase the geographical territory, add more search terms in here. But let's look at this 78-fold. So I'm also a realist. I know that you're not going to end up engaging with all 1,966 second level connections here as well, or even into these group members. What I do realize, though, is that if I have 25 first level connections in this amount here, let's even say 10% I can get into. I've now increased my ability to get into almost 200 second level connections by leveraging my first level connections for introductions, which is 8 times greater than what my first level connections. So I've just dramatically increased the amount of sales prospects that I can get in the door. Now, I'm also going to explain to you something and we're going to go into this in a second here, is that by leveraging your first level connections to get into your second level connections, I've already alluded to this earlier, is that 84% of B2B people that are making decisions start stuff with a referral or looking for common people that they know to solve a problem that they have. On top of that, you increase your success rate up to 4-fold, so 400%. So by leveraging your first level connections to get into second level connections, to engage with these people and start talking to them on a sales conversation, you are going after some of the greatest prospects available. They also close at double the rate. So instead of about 25%, they close at about 50%, and they close in upwards of a quarter of the time because you're leveraging someone's built-in trust with the second level connection as an introduction. Huge opportunities for you to do this stuff. And by the way, there's so few people that do this. I'll get to it in a sec. When I show you this process, so right now, if you're dozing off, drink your coffee. I'm going to take a break for a sec, take a drink of coffee myself. If anything, put your phone down, quit looking at anything. If you're going to watch 5 minutes of this presentation, this is the 5 minutes you should watch. This will dramatically change your life. This is how I've gotten millions of dollars of sales. I've gotten millions of dollars of pay from doing stuff like this. And it's how I've built a pipeline in the 8 figures for my current software company, just by leveraging this process I'm about to teach to you. So here's the scoop. You're going to go after second level connections on LinkedIn. How do you do this? Hit that advanced search again. Now, once again, if your LinkedIn account does not look like this anymore, I will send a notice out next month. I am going to completely have to revamp this whole presentation and talk about how to use the advanced search or how to find these people. I've got to figure this out because I have a feeling that LinkedIn's changed the way they do this stuff, and I'm going to have to figure it out for you guys, and I'll show you how to do this way. But just understand right now this process, and it'll transform your life. So we're going to go advanced search. We're going to go in and look for second level connections. I'm looking in a specific geographical area. I can look in specific industries if I want, and I put the title in here and I hit search. In this case, it brought back 114 results. So let's go Gary Leash down here. I want to get an introduction to Gary. I do not know Gary, but what I see is I have 16 shared connections into Gary. So what I do is I click on this and it brings up the top 3 people that says I could get an introduction to Gary. So I got Jason, Randy, and Cam. I could probably use every single one of these guys to get in the door, but let's pretend I do not have good relationships with these guys to get in the door. So once again, this goes back to my point, which is you need to be reaching out to people on a consistent basis, trying to build stronger relationships with them. I'm going to click on view all 16. Bam. It brings up everybody that I'm connected to. Whoops. On LinkedIn that's connected to this person. And I can go through and say, is there anyone stronger in here that I could leverage to get in the door to get this introduction to Gary Leash? Now, here's the email that I send off to people. So I'm going to tell you right now, don't use LinkedIn to send a message to someone asking for an introduction. And whatever you do, don't say, hey, can you introduce me to this person? I'd like to talk to him about my product or my service. Okay, so send an email directly to this person. Then what you do is create a letter. What my letter is, it's a subject line is, can you help me out? Who doesn't like helping people out? Then what I do is I go through and I put this information in, which is, hey, here's why I'm reaching out. I see you're connected to this person. I help companies like this and people like this by doing this. Do you know them well enough to introduce me? If so, here's a intro you can use. And I've got the subject line here. And I write an email, which basically says, a friend of mine reached out to me to see if I could introduce it to you. His name is Chris Hamilton. I've known him for a while. Chris helps companies reduce costs, increase revenue with a product or service. He also tells me that companies are can typically increase their revenue by X% or reduce their cost by X%. He was hoping to get introduced to you. I wanted to check with you first before introducing it to you. Do you mind if I connect the two of you? Regards, and then put the person's name in there. Write the email for them. It is crazy how much uptake I get with this. If I just ask people to introduce me, they're not going to do it. People are too busy. Dumb it down for them. This takes 10 minutes or 10 seconds for them to copy and paste and put it in there. Huge uplift. So let me explain to you the power of this. I have almost 3,500 connections on LinkedIn. I have only had 4 or 5 people. I'll say 5 people. It's actually 4 people. I had someone reach out to me on 2 people. So I kind of count that as 5 people. I've had 5 people reach out to me for an introduction literally in the last 12 months. If you use the 5 people against my 3,500, that roughly works out to 0.1% of my connections on LinkedIn. 99.9% of LinkedIn people or people on LinkedIn do not leverage this process. I usually get 50% of the people I ask to make a referral for me. Of those 50%, typically I'm going to get about 50% into a phone conversation, into an email introduction, into whatever, into a bunch of different things. My success rate on this is out of 100 is about 20%. So I get 20 out of the 100 people that I want to go after. I'm ending up engaging in. So I'm going to default back once again to something I said earlier, which is cold calling. Cold calling literally works 0.3% of the time. I'm going to round that up to 0.5 because my math will work better here because it's easier this way. So 0.5% of the time versus 20% of the time. My process is 40 times more effective, or up to 40 times more effective of getting meetings. Not only that, I'm not interrupting people. I'm not aggravating people. The people that I am approaching, when one of my connections reach out and say, hey, can I introduce you? Guess what? It's a vetting process. The person that comes back and says yes, typically is saying yes because they have a want or a need for that. Then what happens is these are the ones that close at double the rate. They also close in a quarter of the time. I have another slide. I don't have it in here, but let me give you the power of this as well. 11% of salespeople have a referral process in place, a formalized referral process in place. It's actually, I've seen numbers smaller than that, but I'm using 11%. This comes from Word of Mouth Marketing Association. 65% of all sales come from word of mouth or referrals. Flip this around. 89% of salespeople going after 35% of sales versus 11% going after 65%. The math on this is those that have a referral process are getting 15 times more qualified sales leads. And not only are they getting better qualified sales leads, they're closing at a higher rate quicker. So they're cranking on this stuff. Secondly, if you do the percentage wise on this, they're generating almost 94% more qualified sales leads than the vast majority of salespeople out there. So once again, I told you to just pay attention in this section. If anything you get from this is start looking at second level connections, start looking at your first level connections and see who can introduce you into your second level connections. Write a letter, send them an email, get them to do it, get engaged in the conversation and go close some business. This will dramatically increase. Literally, the process between all these numbers here, it can add upwards of 120 times more productivity just by leveraging referrals. So, I'm a realist once again. I go back to that. I'm a realist. I realize that if you put a referral process in place and you're hitting on all cylinders, you can hit that 120 times to higher productivity gains. Not going to necessarily happen. Everyone's human. But think about this. What if you could double, triple, quadruple, 10x your sales? Very achievable by using a process like this. Takes a little bit of work, takes a little bit of effort. You always have to be strengthening your first level connections in order to get introductions, but it's well worth it. Why does it work? Once again, I just kind of went over this. Typical sales that close at 25%. This closes at 50%. Referrals convert at 3 to 5 times better. 65% of all new businesses from referrals. 11% of salespeople just have a formalized referral process. So now, here I'm going to show you my process to find the potential prospects and clients, and also how to engage with them. Real simple, quick little process that we're going to go through. First of all, create an avatar. Who do you want to go after? Get a title, location, industry. In this case, I want to look at VPs of sales and marketing in Calgary in the oil and energy industry. Second step, use that advanced search that's on LinkedIn. Pull it in. Start getting the results that come in. So you got a list of people that you can be engaging with. Select the prospects that you want to start approaching. Not everyone on this list is going to be someone that fits within your target demographic, but you know what? Start looking at these people and start bringing them in. Then what you do is you start seeing, who do I know that's connected to this person and how can I get introductions? Make sure you track this stuff. Start a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Doc. On a minimum, put your name, company title. You can put the LinkedIn, their LinkedIn profile in here. Put your connection level in here. What your connections are, if you sent something out, just track everything that you get. Then send out this connection intro letter. This thing here dramatically increases your success rate on LinkedIn and generating sales leads. I've seen it, and I use it religiously every single day. Track in your spreadsheet kind of what's going on. So the tracking started over here, sent this first email out. This is this. The reason why you want to track too is so you can start seeing your numbers. So you can start seeing how many people have referred me in, how many conversations did I get, how many sales did I get. You kind of look at that funnel, what happens. So in the future, you can start gauging, if I have X amount of quota I've got to hit, if I work that backwards and say my average sales this, then I need to do this, I need to do this, you know exactly how many people you're going to have to reach out to on a daily basis. It's all a numbers game, and you can work these numbers for you and get them going as well. The other thing too is the follow-up. So what happens is, as I say, 40 to 50% of the people I send requests out to will do it, but that means 50 to 60% don't actually send out a request. Now, here's the reason being. There's a couple of reasons. One, it hits their inbox and gets buried so far down, they forget to do it. Two, they don't feel comfortable sending that out and they don't let you know about that. What I do is kind of every 30, 60, 90 days, I circle back around. I take a look at where I might be able to, try to re-engage with my connection to see if I can get introductions, see if I've got another connection that I get introduced in. Do I need to send them an in-mail? Do I need to send them a group in-mail? A whole bunch of different things. So long story short, just go through and just continually, build out a list. So what I've got is I literally have a list of, it's segmented, but I have anywhere from kind of 200 to about 800 people on each one of these. And I have about 4 or 5 that I work at any given time, going through on stuff. And I'm just constantly, updating these lists and reaching out to people on a daily basis. Once again, I talk about go back every 30, 60, 90 days and just follow up on that list. Now, one thing I would highly recommend is if you get your tracking sheet going and doing this stuff, do not put people into your CRM. If you have a CRM or your company forces you to use a CRM, only put people in once they are a qualified lead and it looks like sales is progressing or whatever, your company policy is. Don't take a list of 800 people and just shove it into into Salesforce or whatever CRM you're using, because that just creates a lot of noise and static in there that's just crazy and you don't want to deal with. So once again, as I say, how much time does it take me to do this? So Monday through Fridays, I'm typically reaching out to people. I'm asking anywhere between kind of 3 and 5 people to make introductions for me. And how I do this is kind of on the weekends, I go through and I make the search criteria. I open up my tracking sheet and I put the people's names and emails in and who can make a connection with me. And then kind of Monday through Fridays, I just go through and I pick 3 to 5 and I send those messages out to individuals and ask for that. And literally 3 to 5, it takes me 20 minutes a day, Monday through Friday. Who does not have 20 minutes a day? Now, this doesn't have to be in prime selling time. You know what you do? You do this at night when you're watching TV. It takes like 20 minutes. This is so simple to do. Does it work? I want to show you the fact that this actually works. This is a company I used to work with. This is all the sales reps. There's about 220 sales reps in here. What you're seeing is here's my activity as it was being tracked in Salesforce. And what I did was, I'm a big fan of automating a lot of stuff. So what I did was, in Canada, in this case, I dealt with people that played in the mergers and acquisition space, selling companies. So it'd be capital markets, lawyers, a whole bunch of different people. Before the Canadian anti-spam laws, I had a person in India go through all the top firms in Western Canada and pull out all the lawyers that were in here. And then I also had them pull out banking people. I went back into our CRM system. I compiled a big list, basically is what I did. Then I went to MailChimp and I created newsletters that were specific to this target demographic. So what I did was I actually had an assistant in the Philippines who went through, and my assistant Christine would go and find deals that were poking up in Western Canada that any of these people would want to see. And lo and behold, when I started sending this out, I had a whole bunch of investment bankers and lawyers phone me thanking me for sending this information, because they said they had to put an assistant on this stuff. It was taking them like 2.5 days a week to do this sort of stuff. And I was compiling it and putting it together and sending it to them on a weekly basis. That opened up so many meetings for me. Anyways, that's why, long story short, you see, I used to get 22 times more emails than everybody else in my thing, but that's because I was leveraging technology. Now, here's the killer part. This 10 times more meetings and 30 times more online webinars or demos. I did this all through the power of LinkedIn. This company, I'll explain something to you. This company had something called Cold Call Fridays. They did it once a month. Cold Call Fridays, block off 3 hours, get on the phone, smile and dial. I have not picked up a phone and made a cold call in years. Now, what I did was I was competing against 7 other people on my team. The 6 other people would book 1 or 2 meetings if they were lucky to do this. I jumped on LinkedIn. I found people, I made introductions. I started pulling people in. I was booking literally 10, 20, 30 meetings, and I was doing it in half the time. So these guys were spending 3 hours cold calling, if they were actually spending 3 hours cold calling, booking 1 to 2 meetings. I was booking upwards of 30 meetings. I was getting so many meetings compared to these guys. The other thing too is I leveraged it. I would get 10 times more meetings. Then I also would do demos. So I would use LinkedIn and invite people in specific groups to join a demo of our platform and how it would help them out. And I would get 30 times more web access, everything. I did all this through LinkedIn. It was crazy how much it worked. So guys, I'm going to get into a special offer. We spent about an hour going through this stuff. One of the things I want to talk to you about is I have a membership site, and it's LinkedIn courses. I have literally over, I think it's like 40 hours of LinkedIn training material that's on this course. I have a LinkedIn social selling course. I got a social selling social selling playbook for managers, sales managers. Don't let that throw you. There's a lot of great information in there. Literally, there's tons of content that's sitting in this membership site. Like I said, it's about 40 hours of content sitting in here. on a consistent, on a monthly basis that you can access. You're going to learn a lot of tips on how to approach people. Part of this, what I do is, sometimes I run courses. They're like $200, $300, $400, $500. Sometimes I charge corporations $5,000, $10,000 to do training on this stuff. All that information is sitting in this portal, and it's there designed to make you successful. You're going to get access to all my future courses and my books and everything. Normally, this is $39 a month. Now it's only $19 a month because you sat through this whole presentation. There's currently a value, it's about $1,200 I say of content, and there's probably closer to about $2,000 in there now. It's growing at a consistent basis. I keep throwing stuff in there. As I tell people, think about how your life could be transformed by leveraging just even the stuff I showed you today. I have in here, I've got the courses that show you and walk you through, give you the tools to do all this stuff. If you get 10 new qualified meetings a month or a week, 50% in funnel with 30% close rate means you're booking or closing 78 times more sales per year. You're dramatically increasing the amount of sales that you can close. The other thing too, this comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're a monthly subscriber, you can quit anytime. If you jump in, you can go in here. Guess what? I'm going to let you in on a secret. All the content on here is downloadable. You could join and basically subscribe and quit within 30 days. You could steal all my content if you want. But you know what? I know you're going to be guarantee you're going to like what you see here, and you will stay because of all the content that comes in. Here's something I'm in Canada. I'm going to make, just as it relates, the average rep makes about $30 per hour in Canada. Let's pretend no taxes or anything come off that. My monthly payment's $19 US, roughly $25 American. So literally, it's about 40 to 50 minutes of work. Your first hour of work each month pays for this thing. And once again, put yourself in the shoes. Think about where you could be. If you could 10x the amount of sales that you're bringing in the door on a monthly basis or on a yearly basis, think about the impact that's going to have. So for $19 a month, this is a steal. Tell you what, you want to find out more, reach out to me, chris@salestipaday.com. There's my phone number. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. Just look up Chris Hamilton in Calgary. And if we're not connected, connect with me on LinkedIn. So in this case, just reach out to me and everything like that. I don't know if anyone has any questions. That's literally the end of it. It's taken an hour to get through this, but that's the end of it. There's a question box down below. If anyone has any questions, they can actually ask me questions on my cell phone as well. So you can text me if you're in North America at 403-630-1243. The other thing I want to let you know is that after this, I'm going to send you a replay of this webinar so you can go through it. And also, you're going to end up getting 14, 15 weeks of tips on LinkedIn that come through on a weekly basis. These tips are absolutely killer. Anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes, these videos that you're going to get, video tips that are going to show you and walk you through a whole bunch of things. And once again, what I say is, if you think that content is killer, where do you see the content on that membership site? The information on the membership site will also come in those follow-up emails. So you'll see something coming to you probably within the next half hour on this stuff. If I don't have any other questions, then, I appreciate everyone. I appreciate everyone taking the time out today to join the webcast. And thank you very much. Time is valuable, but hopefully you learned enough today to see the value in this. And hopefully you'll see enough value in my membership site as well. I'll be revamping a lot of stuff in there based on some of the new changes in LinkedIn too, but a lot of it's still relevant. And it's all about using and leveraging processes to dramatically increase the success that you get from LinkedIn. So there we go. If there's no other question, I don't see any questions. I've seen people dropping off on both sides. So on LinkedIn, or sorry, on my my chat page and also on YouTube. Without any further ado, if you have any questions, please reach out to me, chris@salestipaday.com, and I will be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Have a wonderful day. Thanks a lot for joining. See ya.